I'm moving some Lego out of the way.
Abomination of Coca-Cola are you drinking right now, Johnston?
This is called Coca-Cola Zero Sugar.
Coke crappy?
Nobody calls it that.
It's just Coke Zero. That's all it
It's
is.
Coke Zero. It's Coke Zero.
Yeah. Nobody's going to call it Coca-Cola
Although
Zero Sugar.
they sponsored a couple of, or at least one NASCAR race this year, and that was the branding was Coca-Cola Zero Sugar all over the place. They do not want to call it Coke Zero. They want to call it Coca-Cola Zero Sugar.
They should have just called it New Coke.
It rolls off the tongue better.
Just New Coke. Just call it New Coke.
Just call it Coke 3. They should call it Coke 3.
Coke 3?
Coke 3.
Diet Coke 2.
Ooh.
I love it.
Right? Yeah?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to episode 630 for Tuesday. Wait a second. Is that how I normally? Since I don't have the script written out on the outline anymore because you guys made fun of me for doing that, I don't even.
Who made fun of you for doing that?
I never made
for doing that.
Do it.
I made fun of you for like bringing it to live shows.
Yeah, it's because I need it on the screen.
Yeah,
because you've spent 12 years just reading it and you somehow still haven't committed any of it to memory.
I haven't. It's true.
Disappointing.
Hello and welcome to episode 630 of the Player One podcast for Tuesday, December 4th, 2018. I'm your host, Chris Johnston. With me, as always, from Canada, Mr. Greg Seward.
Finally.
What's that?
Finally.
Finally.
I was here earlier.
Oh.
Thanks for waiting for me.
That's true.
Well,
the reason we're late this today.
It's all me.
We're on Canadian time, 10 minutes late.
Yes. Well, 40 minutes late, actually.
I don't think that's how Canadian time works, but...
Oh.
You know, when I was a kid, though, honestly, until I knew really what time zones were, I was convinced that that's how it worked. Was that when you went to the U.S., the U.S. was just an hour behind.
Oh, really?
Because I mean, I'm on Atlantic time, which is an hour ahead of Eastern. Right?
Yeah.
And if we drove to the U.S., in my mind, we're going south. We're only going south, and because the U.S. is south, but as soon as you cross the border, suddenly you're in the Eastern time zone.
That's right.
So I thought that it worked north to south. No. I was little. What do you want?
And joining us from the great state of Washington, Mr. Filthy Bald. Hello.
Heidi, hi.
Welcome back from the land of Lincoln.
Yep. That's where I was last week, visiting the family for Thanksgiving.
How did that
Thanksgiving
go?
was over a month ago.
Man, it feels like it.
How'd that go?
It was wildly unpleasant. Thank you.
Yikes.
Thank you for dredging that up.
Why, did they try to give you another copy of Anticipation or what?
No,
were you a jerk about a heartfelt gift again?
No, not at all. No, my family was wonderful. It was great seeing my family.
It was your wife's family.
I didn't say no. I did not. That is not what I said.
I feel like that's what you were saying.
That's not what I was saying at all.
Yeah.
Got to see some friends, which was very nice. But you know, the actual
friends of which you speak.
Well, I saw some of my old friends from like high school and college days.
That is old.
Yeah. You know, there was some of my actual friends, including Mike Rank. I saw Mike Rank.
Oh,
some of your old friends.
Yeah, you guys know Mike.
He's been on the show.
He has. We attended his wedding.
Indeed, we did.
You did.
I did.
I did.
The cool kids did.
Yeah.
Cool kids did. Yeah.
I wasn't invited. No. Mike.
I don't even know if Mike
still stings a little.
I don't know if Mike listens to our show.
Somebody will tell him.
Your hatred
will tell him.
Maybe for naught, but
true.
Yeah, saw some of my friends, saw some old work friends, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Some of the old Ziff Davis crew from way back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were coming home on Monday. And then Sunday evening, Illinois decided to have a snowstorm.
A crazy
like blizzard,
kind of rainy, blizzardy ice
what global
storm.
Warming?
Yeah, that's how it works. But which ended up causing a ton of flights out of O'Hare to be delayed or canceled.
Yeah,
and
even more than usual.
Yeah.
I mean, usually there are a ton of flights out of O'Hare delayed or canceled.
Yeah, but more so.
Okay.
Our flight home was scheduled to take off at 5:40 p.m. on Monday evening. We got off the ground at about 12:30 a.m. Tuesday morning.
God.
So a nice
that's fun with a little kid around.
Well, luckily, question mark. We were sort of keeping watch of the departures and such at the airport, so we did not arrive at the airport for our 5:30 flight. Which because theoretically we would have arrived at the airport at like 3:30 in the afternoon.
Right.
So we saw
a whole lot of time to spend in an airport.
That is.
It is. We did see the delay happening, so we did not leave until a little later. We still, we left for the airport thinking it was going to be leaving at 10. Mm-hmm. That was our last update before we hit the road. Was the flight was delayed until 10
that's
p.m.
Not bad at all. Then
that's no,
nice.
Delay. Yeah. Well, no, that's a
5-hour delay.
No, what I'm saying though is if you're leaving, assuming it's going to take 10 and it left at 12:30,
right?
Really, the time you spent at the airport was like a 2-hour delay.
Yes,
so that's not bad.
Yeah, that's a nice, convoluted rationalization to make it seem like we had a less miserable day.
Sure.
Well, you're in Chicago. Miserable day.
We had a wonderful time in Chicago.
I love Chicago
proper. I had White Castle. Thank you.
I got the one by the old office.
No, I am
hilarious.
I have no reason to be up by the old office. So
I was also going to ask if you ordered a limo to go to O'Hare just for old time's sake.
No. We rented a car.
Okay.
So I was driving. I had Portillo's. Thank you very much. I
can get behind that.
Sweet.
I had Giordano's deep dish pizza.
That's great stuff. Yeah.
It is. Yeah. So
getting hungry.
Now, Phil, let me ask you a question. Are you the type of person that is able to sleep on flights or no?
I can, but I don't sleep well, and I don't sleep for extended periods of time. I may drift off.
Yeah.
For a little bit.
How long is the flight from Chicago to
it's
home?
Like 4 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a long flight.
Yeah, it's about 4 hours. It's about 3.5 hours going to Chicago, about 4 hours, a little more coming home.
They just go faster when they go into Chicago. They just want to get there faster.
Well, that's wind direction. Yeah,
there's winds. Well, it's
winds.
It's the rotation of the Earth, and when you fly, you're traveling with the rotation of the Earth. So it's the speed of the plane plus the speed of Earth's rotation.
You have to fly.
I'm not gonna sit here and listen to your fake science.
You have to fly directly into the ozone layer before any of that happens.
Okay.
It's vectors and crosswinds. And
simple science.
Yeah.
Science.
Yeah. You should, if you attended one of the wonderful schools in the United States, Greg, you would know more about science. So,
alrighty.
Evolution, not really a thing.
So I've heard.
Why we still got monkeys, Greg? Why we still got monkeys?
Explain that.
Yeah.
So is that all you want to talk about Chicago?
That way you want I can talk about my visit with Terry.
Let's do it.
Talk about that now.
Yeah.
So
Trickman?
Trickman Terry Minnick, who
it's Minich.
It's
Minock.
It's Trickman Terry Kate McCucci.
Trickman Terry Minock.
No, Trickman Terry, who old school EGM readers will remember as the master of the tips and tricks section.
Yep.
In the magazine. Yes. Terry also, here's a little something you need to know about Trickman. The nicest damn guy in the world.
He is super nice.
Like just a genuine sweetheart. Holy cow. I have never seen Terry. I've seen Terry slightly perturbed, but that's about as cranky as I've ever seen Terry. Just the nicest friggin' guy in the world.
You clearly didn't push him hard enough.
No, well, I tried. Me.
I was gonna say you're a master. So
yeah, no, I can be irritating when I want to be,
even when you're not trying to be. Let's be honest.
Well, yeah, but Terry, just the coolest guy. He 2 years ago, little over 2 years ago. Well, Terry is a big, kind of old school video game fan. Loves the retro stuff. Years ago, he started buying a couple arcade cabinets, like old school arcade cabinets, just for his house. He built up this beautiful basement game room. He's got the big TV, the whole sound system with all the modern systems hooked up to it. He's got a few CRT TVs with like the NES and SNES and Genesis hooked up to it. And then he was buying some arcade cabinets. I think he has a Mr. Do machine. I can't remember exactly the machines he has, but he does have a handful of old arcade cabinets in his basement. He has a pinball game.
Yep.
Space Shuttle, if you remember. That's in the pinball arcade collection. But yeah, he built up this elaborate game room in his basement, and a couple of years ago, he and another guy named Paul Ojeda, who also used to work at EGM way back in the day, they decided, hey, let's open an arcade. And they did.
I think the last time I saw Trickman was just before he opened that arcade. I was at I went to the Midwest Gaming Classic to be on an episode of Retronauts, and he and Paul were there in the classic arcade room. Yeah, and I think it was branded with the name of their arcade, which is, what is it called again?
It is Pixel Blast.
Pixel Blast
Arcade.
But I don't think they'd opened it. So I sat and talked to him a little bit, and I think he was talking about how they were just about to open it.
Yeah, they've expanded since they opened it. He has just over 100 machines in the arcade now.
All right.
Yeah, and he was even talking to me about like hoping to expand further in the future. So yeah, he's really into it. It's apparently doing well. Good. Again, they've been open for 2 years. Yeah. We went there. It's in Lisle, Illinois, which is a Chicago suburb.
Sure.
But yeah, we drove up there, me and the wife and Finn. And it was funny because I was telling Finn about it. I was like, oh, we're gonna go to an arcade. My friend has an arcade. We're gonna go, and we can play games all day. And Finn, being 6 and being a young whippersnapper, raised in what is generously called an arcade these days.
Yeah. Which prizes are we going to bring home?
His first reaction was indeed, oh, do they have tickets and prizes?
Same with my kids.
And I'm like, no, Finn. This is an arcade like I had when I was a kid. It's just video games. And his initial reaction was, this sounds boring.
Memories of, I'm sure you remember being dragged to various places by your parents because they remembered.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But you know what? The places I was being dragged by my parents didn't have 100 friggin' arcade machines set on free play.
That's true.
I was being, here, we're going to go to the women's clothing section in Montgomery Wards. That's where I was dragged.
There was a time when arcades were big enough that there was a chance you'd still find like a Pac-Man machine around there somewhere.
Yeah.
But I was just like, Finn, you love video games. You play them all the time at home. You like old video games. Yeah. You'll sit and watch me play my, Donkey Kong and stuff like that, and you'll play them and enjoy them. What do you whine?
Or you're grounded.
Yeah, well, exactly. But of course, the minute we walked into the place, his eyes just glass over, and
how could they not?
Kind of flops open, and he's just and he made a beeline. I don't know if this was just because it was the closest machine to the door, or if it's because he actually he wanted to try it. He went straight to a pinball machine.
Oh wow!
Which he has never. He's played like Pinball Arcade.
That would be an oddity, though, right? I mean,
or Pinball FX.
Yeah.
He's played virtual pinball, but he's never seen a real pinball machine.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we got a stool for him, and he just sat there and played pinball for a while.
That's awesome.
While we caught up with Terry, and it showed us around the arcade. Really nice arcade, ton of a ton of machines, all in really good shape.
Posted on Twitter, look great.
Yeah.
Place, yeah.
Go to Whimsical Phil on Twitter. Dig back about a week or two. You'll see some pics of the arcade. But yeah, he's got a ton of machines there. A lot of classic, Tempest and Tron, and Donkey Kong and Frogger, Double Dragon, Bad Dudes, the Goonies, which is great. Nintendo's Popeye, which
CJ's there.
I love it. I love it.
He's got a Q*bert machine that's signed by the guy who created Q*bert, which is pretty outstanding. So, yeah, it was a ton of fun. Got to see Terry and his wife, who are both awesome people. Paul Ojeda, the other owner, showed up. I hadn't seen Paul in
probably 20 years.
Oh, probably.
I mean, I never met Paul until a couple of years ago, and I had been at the Ziff Davis office working full time since '99. So I know he wasn't around then.
Oh no. He move over? He didn't move to.
I don't think so.
Before we moved to Lombard?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
or not Lombard, but
Oak Brook.
Yeah. He was just at the Lombard office. So, but Paul, really nice guy. Again, haven't seen him in forever, so it was good catching up with him. And Terry got a hold of Mike Vallis.
All right.
And Vallis came over.
Love Vallis.
Yeah, Vallis. We talked about
super
him.
Nice guy.
Yeah, really nice guy. Again, another old school EGM guy. He was the guy kind of infamously behind all the April Fool's tricks, doctored photos.
Yes.
He put together like the Shenlong photos and stuff.
Yep.
And of course, if you remember our Andy Barron tribute episode from a couple years back, Vallis is the guy who had that fantastic story that closed out that episode.
Yep.
And I hadn't seen Vallis in a few years either, so it was good catching up. So, yeah, if you are ever in the Chicagoland area and you want to check out a cool arcade owned by some cool people, head out to Pixel Blast.
And we'll link to it in the show notes, of course.
Yeah. So it's great. So
cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
And that's our show for this week. Thanks for tuning in.
Should we do some news?
Oh, is there news?
Is there news this week?
There's a few things.
What do we have?
Well, the first reviews of the PlayStation Classic came out.
Oh yeah?
Not too good.
Donate to my Extra Life for a chance to win one. Only $5.
Yeah. I guess winning one is better than
for free or for $5,
Yeah, $5, sure.
Hey, you know what? The money goes to help sick kids.
Yeah,
exactly.
Think of it that way.
That's
Money's
exactly
a good place.
Think of it. You're helping out some sick kids, and maybe you end up with a PlayStation Classic.
That's right. Yeah. Apparently, it has like no screen filters, and some of the games are the 50 hertz European editions. So,
yeah, I canceled my pre-order.
Yeah, it sounds like a mess.
Yeah,
it does sound like a mess.
Yep.
Turns out it's a little bit harder than just slapping ROMs onto an Android device, right? There's a little bit of nuance there that is not being captured.
Oh man.
Yeah. Have they come out and said why they did
think so
as the PAL release? Like,
I don't think
that
so.
is a hard decision.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah, there's a Digital Foundry video that I'll link to in the show notes that
watch that.
Rips into it in terms of performance not being as good as the original PlayStation. So that's not great, unfortunately.
Luckily, you can go buy a PS3 and a bunch of those games pretty cheap anyway if you really want to play them that bad. They'll run on a PS3. And you can still play PS3 games.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yep, indeed.
Yeah. Canceled mine, unfortunately. This is a bummer too, because I was really looking forward to that thing.
Yeah,
it's nice to have a little piece of history, but
lackluster game selection and freaking European PAL versions. Come on, man.
Like, why?
So weird.
Yeah.
There's no reason for that.
There's no reason. Even Nintendo, when they released the NES Classic in Europe, gave them the 60 hertz version.
Right?
This game so
that's
wild.
the thing, right? It's not only is it a bizarre decision for North America, but it feels kind of like a slap in the face.
Yeah.
Over in Europe. It's like, why are we dealing with this crap again?
Yeah, seriously.
Seriously. Well, last week, Rockstar Games started the Red Dead Online beta,
Okay.
so you can go play that now.
Money
did
Train
a
has
sort
left the station.
did a sort of tiered approach. They had, first of all, people who bought the Ultimate Edition got to go first, got access to it
Oh.
early. Then, like, people who played it on the day of release, the weekend of release, and then everybody. So they sort of did a rollout of that, which I thought was a cool idea, a cool way to do it. I started it. I didn't realize it's sort of story based. So, like, there's
really?
a whole tutorial thing. So if you want to play any Red Dead Online, there's a create a character. It'll take you a little while to get through if you're really into that type of stuff.
Mhm.
And then once you do that, there's like a story setup to it. So that you have to get through by yourself first before you can access the rest of it. So
Interesting.
you should check that out. Maybe, I don't know.
I probably won't.
I started it. It's different. It's a completely separate game from Red Dead Redemption 2. So yeah.
I keep forgetting I have that game. I should go back and play it at some point.
The FTC is going
heard
to
of them.
investigate loot boxes in video games,
Uh-oh.
specifically about targeting children.
Yeah.
It's been a long time coming.
It's been a long time coming. I mean, regulations that have popped up in other countries have certainly hinted to this type of thing happening in the US. And in response, the IGDA has put out a call to action letter, which encourages industry members to not market loot boxes to children, which I think is a great step.
Yeah.
Clearly disclose the odds of different rewards when purchasing them. So,
Which, by the way, still does dick, but hey.
Still doesn't, it doesn't do anything, but at least they're there. The information is there. And this is something that on mobile, at least Apple requires now. You have to do. So that's good. And then they're going to launch a coordinated education campaign that boosts awareness of parental controls that limit how players engage with games. So on mobile, you can use parental controls to not allow in-app purchases. I don't know that consoles have that yet. Certainly they password protect purchases, which I think is still good.
Yeah. I know for me, the way that I avoid that is I just don't store credit card information on my consoles.
Yeah, and that's probably,
so if anyone wants to buy anything, it's a pain in the ass, but it's kind of self-regulation for me as well, where it's like I'm much less likely to buy tons of little things if I gotta go put my credit card in every time.
Yeah.
There you go.
And it doubles as parental control. You know, my son can play Fortnite for as long as he wants. If he wants to buy something, he still has to come ask.
Yep.
That's right. So, yeah, I guess the somewhere I hear Ethan Einhorn clapping as he drives while listening to this podcast.
Ethan doesn't listen to this podcast.
Are you sure? Ethan, tweet me if you listen to this episode. Tweet to me.
How long have you known Ethan? He's not going to tweet you.
Very well. I mean, we're talking about loot boxes this week, so of course.
Yeah.
And then finally, the Game Awards are happening this week. So they happen on Thursday. Thursday, yeah. And that
live stream.
We should. We'll get Kevin Larrabee on the horn, and we should totally do that again because we've done that in previous years and it's been fun.
Yep.
So I would expect at least a couple really good trailers to hit later this week.
Probably.
Yeah.
I know last year they set it all up so that you could restream the actual show to your like Twitch channel. Like it was something that something that they actually encouraged.
So they were trying to
do the live stream last year. So
they were trying to encourage people to live stream it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. It's an interesting idea, interesting marketing idea. I mean, you know, it's not on broadcast television anymore. So
right.
Makes sense.
Indeed.
Pretty cool.
Yes. All right. Well, I think we should go into what you've been playing.
Oh, hold it. We're not going to talk about the Al Lowe.
Oh, you want to talk about Al Lowe? Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Former guest of the show.
Clearly, that's at the top of his resume.
Yeah.
Former interviewee at the Player One podcast.
Yep.
What episode was that? Like, it was an early one.
That was like in the early 10s, maybe teens.
Yeah.
It was early.
Very early episode. But geez, it's still a great episode. No, Al Lowe, formerly of Sierra Online, creator of Leisure Suit Larry and Freddy Farkas Frontier Pharmacist, among a few other games.
And the Black Cauldron, just so you know.
Oh yeah, the Black Cauldron game. Which did you play that on your stream?
I played that on my stream a couple weeks ago.
Nice.
Yeah.
He is selling off a bunch of his original source code and some other rare trinkets from the early days of Sierra Online. As he explains in his auctions, apparently Sierra itself did not keep backups of the source code,
which is way more common than I think anyone really realizes.
Yeah, a lot of people. Yeah, people are, especially in those early days, you didn't save stuff. You just didn't. It's like
it's one of the problems that you hear. I'm sure that Frank Cifaldi and that crew run into that a fair amount, but you hear that happening a lot when you're talking about re-releasing Japanese games.
Yeah,
hasn't that come up with it, like Panzer Dragoon Saga?
Right,
so that the source code is gone.
Yep.
Same.
That's like the early days of animation. The animation cells.
No, it's like the early days of the BBC. That's why you don't have a full run of Doctor Who available.
That's true, because they just wipe
tape over it,
wipe the tapes, clean, scrape that paint off those Fantasia animation cells. We got another movie to make. We don't want to have to pay for more acetate.
It's crazy.
Yeah. But Al was smart enough to make some personal copies, and he backed up the source code for his games himself and tossed them in a box and shoved it in a closet or something for what?
30
years? Yeah, knocking on 40 years probably. And he's dug them up and he's decided to sell them.
Okay.
And they're all on eBay. And I'm looking at his listings now, and dude's making some quick cash. I'll tell you that much.
I imagine.
Thanks.
The source code for the first Leisure Suit Larry, which still has 7 days and 11 hours left in the auction. I mean, there's little over a week left in this auction. It's already up to $9,200.
Nice.
Yeah, 61 bids. So it's
Very cool.
not even like two people fighting for it.
Not yet.
But yeah, it's $9,200. The source code for Larry 2, again, 60 bids. Still got
goes looking for love in several wrong places.
8,400.
Okay.
At the moment. He has a game, not even a source code, but like the actual full game. This is a game that I have never heard of. That he created. Again, reading the description of the auction, I think it's the second game he ever made.
Yeah.
An educational game called Bop-A-Bet, like alphabet.
Is that a Sierra game?
It is a Sunnyside soft game.
Okay.
Which
Never heard of it.
according to Al, I'm just reading the description here. From the auction. Bop-A-Bet is an extremely rare 1982 Apple II educational game from Sunnyside Soft, the software company that I created along with my wife and the McChesneys.
Oh, we're talking like Ziploc bags,
Yes,
discs and Ziploc bags.
I wrote it in my home office. Sunnyside Soft sold these games out of our home. Yes, that's our home address and phone number on the packaging.
Amazing.
For a few months, for a few months in genuine Ziploc baggies before Sierra bought the rights and repackaged it in their boxes.
Just crazy, man. We're only talking 40 years ago, and that's such an amazing thing about early PC game industry is like most of that stuff was just sold at little computer shops or out of your home, like a fanzine almost.
Yeah.
Like duplicate the disc, put it in a plastic bag, and mail it off.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Like people just would call you at your home.
That's like people talking about in the UK going to all the swap meets and everything when everything was on cassette.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yep. But yeah, he has apparently only 200 copies of this version were made, and all were sold except this one copy.
Nice.
which is apparently number 18 out of 200. But yeah, he's lovingly stored for 36 years. I'm sure it's the best preserved sample on Earth.
Yeah.
Probably the only one.
Other ones probably became spare discs.
Yeah, I would be stunned if another copy of this game exists anywhere now.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's selling that. It is like minty fresh. The registration card's in there.
Awesome. Huh.
Again, 7 days, 21 hours left in the auction. 34 bids. It is up to $10,000.
Crazy.
Damn.
By the way, Mike Marshall in our chat has mentioned here that Metal Jesus did a video of this where they went through this collection with Al and recorded.
Oh,
So if you're interested in this stuff, you should go look that up.
yeah.
So
That's
pretty
cool.
great.
That's
I also noticed from the auctions here, I live in the same town as Al Lowe.
Yes.
Really?
I did not.
Why aren't you over there every day? Why don't we have
I know.
Why didn't we get the video of him going through his? What are you doing?
Well, not my job here at the Player One Podcast. Clearly,
Yeah.
Clearly.
so well, you know what I need to do is I
Some
need
work?
I need to find out where he lives, break into his house, and steal this. This is a heist.
I feel like this show just became evidence.
I got this. I'm gonna pull off a heist, the Great Sierra Online heist.
Ocean's Phil.
Yeah. Oh boy, I'm the only one on the team though because no one else wants to work with me.
Yeah.
It's so sad. But yeah, so that's pretty cool. That's kind of neat. And exciting
Game history stuff.
retro game histories. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay, go ahead.
So now we can get into what you've been playing.
Okay.
I'll go first because I wanted to
you
talk
fall
a
out
little
of the
bit
way.
about Fallout 76. Yeah, which I'm still having a lot of fun with. Just wandering around West Virginia with Mike, of course, for the most part. And I Fallout 76 is such an interesting game, not only because of the reviews that were bad initially, which we talked about last week, but the continuing things that have happened to Bethesda since the launch. So, first of all,
I don't know. It seems to me like they got this release in the bag.
Yes.
In the canvas bag.
Speaking
as it
of
were.
bags, there was a $200 Fallout 76 collector's edition that was up for pre-order and pictured a canvas bag for your little helmet that it came with.
Yes.
Not so much.
Well, they replaced the canvas bag with a vinyl bag. And some people were upset about that. And it's interesting that news didn't really even come out until like a week or two after the game came out. So, but people were perturbed about that. And then Bethesda put out a statement that, they're sorry that they had to replace the canvas bag, but here's 500 atoms for those who were upset about the bag. So atoms are the microtransaction currency that Bethesda's selling. 500, by the way, can't even really get you anything in the game.
Is that like the $100 or the 100-point Microsoft birthday gift every year? Or was it 50 points?
It's akin to that.
Well, the atoms value in real bucks is what, $5?
Something like that. Yeah.
No, I think it's $5.
I think you're right, but it doesn't buy much. And honestly, their microtransaction store is fairly bare bones.
Apparently, I also heard
can't buy you the digital version of the nylon bag.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
No, there is a canvas bag in the game that you cannot buy with the 500, which is hilarious.
Hilarious. And then, so insult to injury for Bethesda, it turns out they gave canvas bags to influencers who attended their event, their pre-release event, in West Virginia.
Gotta get those. Try and desperately to get those good reviews. Give them the nice bags.
Give them the nice bags. So that's bad. And then there are reports of people who requested a refund, and Bethesda emailed them and said, "Yeah, we'll process it as soon as we can." And then they backed out of it.
Oh, I didn't hear
Sounds
about
like
that.
Justice.
So now there's a possible class action lawsuit coming their way. And there was a video that surfaced of a group of players who were basically being very homophobic in the game.
Ah.
And there's no way to report players in the game.
Oh, there's not?
Which, yeah, and apparently even the way to report players is via a website, and apparently that was partially broken.
Jeez.
But the video of it came out on Twitter and came to the attention of Bethesda, and they have permanently banned the players in that group. So that's good. That's good.
Okay.
But it has just been a string. It's been like a yard full of rakes for Bethesda
Yeah. Jeez.
this week. It's just been absolutely terrible.
How can they deal with all of this fallout?
That's pretty good. That's good. Yeah. Well, they did early last week. I was hopeful that they would do this. They came out and they said that they are planning some patches for the game that add some user requested features. One patch is coming today when this podcast launches. December 4th is the first one, and then December 11th will be the next one. It's interesting to note they add a bunch of player features, like they increase the player stash, so you have a certain number of slots for items in your stash, and they're adding 200 more slots for that. So that's a good first step.
Okay.
And they're also allowing you to demolish parts of the world, like uproot trees and stuff, to place your camp, which is like your little domicile in the game.
Right.
And however, the patch notes really don't go into things like performance issues or quests not being able to be completed, things like that. So still, like it's sort of like one step forward, one step back, right back to it.
Like a Paula Abdul song.
Exactly.
But where is the delightful MC Scat Cat?
MC Scat Cat.
Is MC Scat Cat going to be an unlockable skin in this game?
I'd buy it for that.
Yeah.
It's probably 500 atoms.
Oh, actually, apparently
it'd be 600 atoms.
Channing King in the chat says that at first the homophobic players were banned for 3 days.
What?
It was
that's long enough for them to learn some.
Yeah,
empathy.
that'll teach them to not be homophobic.
Sure.
A 3-day cooling off period is all that takes.
Sure. Yeah. But so anyway, yeah, Bethesda cannot stop just making this thing a fiasco, unfortunately.
Yeesh.
But I'm still having a lot of fun with the game itself. When it works, it's a lot of fun.
When it works.
And exploring West Virginia is good.
When it works is not a phrase you want to hear when you're talking about a video game you're playing.
I know.
When it works, it's great.
Like I said last week, the reviews are not wrong.
Imagine going out and buying a new car and having to toss that little caveat when you're telling your friends about it. Oh, when it's great, or when it works, it drives like a dream. When it works. When it works.
Yeah, I know. I really hope they're able to turn this one around. That'd be good. But anyway, I've also been playing a little Sea of Thieves this past week because they released a new update called Shrouded Spoils that makes a couple of really interesting tweaks to the game. In previous updates, when they've added things like skeleton ships, they've had to take away some things. Like when the skeleton ships, Greg, which you played with Mike and I, they had to remove the Kraken attacks from the game.
Why?
Server performance.
Oh.
And
I didn't realize that.
They seem to have figured out how to have everything going at the same time. So the Shrouded Spoils update, everything can fire off at the same time. If you get
so you can be fighting skeleton ships being attacked by the Kraken and have a meg or two floating around.
Potentially, yeah. You could already be fighting skeleton ships and have the meg show up.
Yeah, the very first time we did that, that happened.
That happened, yeah.
I thought it was awesome.
But you can have all that happen. Plus, they added in fog now, which can roll in and make
Turok had fog.
Very hard to see.
Interesting.
Plus, they've added. So initially, the skeleton forts, which are akin to the raids in Sea of Thieves, initially there were only 3 forts out of 9 that were active. So the skeleton
you kind of had to wait for the skull to show up, and
and they would only pop once every 3 hours.
Yeah.
So, but now they've activated all the other skeleton forts in the world, so that's 9 total that can pop up, and they've added new loot to the vaults. Once you defeat the skeleton fort and open up the vault, you can get a bunch of new stuff, including a stronghold gunpowder barrel that is 3 times as strong as a regular gunpowder barrel.
Does your ship just disappear if it blows up while it's on deck?
If it blows up on your deck, you're basically like, you may as well just restart.
Throws you halfway across the map.
Like, you're not going to recover from that.
Amazing.
Yeah, and videos of it going off are amazing. Like, it really like throws everybody airborne. It's great. And they also added legendary commendations and rewards for fighting the Meg. So, Greg, we've run into the Meg, the giant shark, in the game and have not fought it or anything.
No,
because you don't get anything for it. You don't get any loot. Now they've added loot that you can pick up when you win. So that's awesome. And for the Kraken also. So it's worth engaging with those things now, which is fantastic. And the forts, I mentioned before, it was every 3 hours, once every 3 hours. Now they just immediately go back up. So it's like a constant thing. And because of this, like, it's really interesting to see how playing the game has changed, because so many things are going on in the world now, and people are competing for forts like you wouldn't believe. Like, I have only completed like 1 gold hoarder voyage during this whole update so far. The rest has been just
what that means.
How do you live with yourself?
What's the context of that? Like, I'm sure people who know the game listening to that are like, "Oh my god, only one!"
My god, only one.
But
no, so in the game, different factions that are like the main quest lines of the game. When the game came out, people were complaining that there wasn't anything to do in the game beyond these 3 quest lines.
Yeah.
So anyway, you put down a mission for one of these factions, and it's like a 6-step quest.
Yeah.
And I've only completed 1 of those. Now.
Okay. Oh, I understand. All right.
Yeah. Because almost every time you go from island to island, something else pops up, whether it's a skeleton ship, which now roam around. They aren't just in certain locations in the map. They'll actually come and attack you.
Cool.
And the Megalodon, which is always around. And it's a really interesting update, and I think it's the best that Sea of Thieves has been since the launch. Like, I'm excited about the gameplay, obviously, but this is like one of the most exciting times for this game. So I'm happy about it. If you haven't played in a while, or you haven't played it at all, you might want to consider jumping in, because it's really fun. Anyway,
there you go.
Maybe
I wouldn't jump in. There's megalodons all over the place.
Maybe
Solid
I'll get
point.
Maybe Phil.
Yeah.
Convince you to hop on and play with the. You won't, though. No.
I wish you nothing but the best with that.
Yep.
Yeah. I also pre-ordered Guacamelee 2 for the Switch, because that is coming out this week or next week.
Yeah, I got to get that sometime soon.
Have you haven't played Guacamelee 2 yet?
No, that's one of those. Yeah.
I decided I would wait for the Switch version, because I figured it was going to happen. So
Guacamelee
better on Switch.
A good game, and Guacamelee 2 is also a good game.
Yes.
I remain a fan of Guacamelee.
And that's going to be, I know for sure, because there's no way I'm going to be getting it and playing it before the end of the year. Not playing it in any significant way anyway. So I know in our year-end thing, that'll be probably the one that I call out as like
best game from
play it this year.
Or best game from
previous
last year that I played this year. Yeah,
because I adored Guacamelee. It was such a great game.
It really is.
Absolutely. All right, and that's all I've been playing. So, Greg, why don't you tell us about what you've been playing?
I played a few different things this week. But the main, and I want to talk to Phil about this. I'm so glad that Phil's back, and he's spent some time with his new PlayStation VR.
Well, spoiler alert!
Yeah.
Jeez.
So I
went up for Black Friday, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Between the time you were last on the show and now,
I purchased it. I purchased my PlayStation VR while I was over at one of my wife's best friend.
Yeah.
We were over at her house, and another one of my wife's friends was over there, and all of our kids were playing with each other, and we were sitting around the table, the grown-ups, eating. And I said, "This conversation's great. I'm going to go see what's going on online. Hey, I'm going to buy a VR PlayStation set."
Sure.
And then it
So what was-
arrived like right when I got home.
What was the price?
I got the $200 bundle.
And that-
Apparently it's normally $300. It was on sale for $200. It's the bundle that comes with the headset, the camera, Astrobot, and Moss.
And it's also the version 2 headset that has the headphone
which doesn't really.
plugins
I
and
don't
fewer
think-
cables. It has like
Oh, is
two
it
fewer cables.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Yeah.
really? I didn't
Okay,
know that.
yeah. Because see, I didn't realize they had done a second version of the headset. I remember a lot of people saying like, "Oh, there's so many cords and wires, and it's so complicated to hook up."
Yeah.
And then when I actually got it and hooked it up, I was like, "This really is not bad at all."
For what
This
it's
was, like,
worth, even as
yeah.
someone who has first generation, it was
Yeah.
never complicated to hook up.
really.
I mean,
Okay.
people. There are a lot of wires. Don't get me wrong, but people
Sure.
were definitely, as Kevin Larrabee would say, there's a little bit of hyperbole going on there.
Okay. Yeah,
it's
it's-
super simple to hook up.
Well, the new version is presumably even simpler because it's there's nothing going on. What was the headphone situation with the first one?
It was like a separate cable. It wasn't like you didn't have like a headphone thing on the.
Yeah, the headphones are integrated now, right?
They're integrated, yeah.
Yeah, it comes with a little.
And there's like a cubby for them too.
there's little earbuds that are just on a very short wire that just kind of wraps around the back of your head
Yeah.
and
So
plugs into the set.
in the original one, Phil, like a little way down the cable from the
Mhm.
headset is the little control panel that has the power button and the volume control on it.
Oh,
So
okay.
I don't know if that still exists or not, but there's on mine. There's a headphone jack on that,
Oh, okay.
and then it comes with a small set of headphones that go up from that.
The
so-
the new headset, the power button's actually on the headset, like right
Okay,
in the
so it's
front.
all integrated.
Yeah, front center is where the power button is, and the volume is just off to the side of your head on the
Okay.
underside.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
of
so
the
that's all
glasses.
down. That's all down here. on the-
Oh, okay. So I'm kind of glad I waited then.
Well, I think for me, and I guess preview of one of our last episodes of the year, but for me, I think the other thing that you got for waiting is you ended up getting for free one of the best games of the year. Yes,
I'm assuming you
Astrobot.
mean Astrobot.
Although Moss is quite good as well.
Yeah.
Astrobot, I stayed up last night and finished it.
Oh, did you? How many worlds? How many world
Five
slash
worlds.
5 world planets or whatever? Okay, so it's not a super long game.
No, I mean, I played it.
I mean,
When
that's
I-
what.
I
Like-
wasn't looking at my watch, obviously, while I was playing it last
Right.
night, and I'd played it for about 2 hours before that,
Right.
and I played it for about 3 or 4. Yeah, so it's 5 to 6 hours long,
Okay.
I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
solid size, but not like super huge.
But how far are you in it right now?
I finished World 2.
Okay,
I
so
have,
you're
I have
right,
not jumped into World 3 yet.
you're right where I was when I started playing last night,
Okay. Jeez.
and then I couldn't put it down.
Yeah.
So I played through the rest of it.
I did have to the last session I played of it,
Mhm.
I played through the entirety of World 2 and had to force myself to put it down.
Mm.
Because I because it was already very late, and I was like, I will, because one thing I'm learning about VR is that you have no understanding of the passage of time
No,
when you are
Huh.
inside there.
no.
And yeah, you will, if you are not careful,
When
be in there all night.
when the credits rolled last night, I popped the headset off and looked at my watch, and it was 2:00 in the morning.
Holy
I was like,
crap.
holy God! Like I thought it might be 12:30.
Right.
But anyway, that I don't even know where to start with that game. It's a wonderful little game. Somebody on Twitter today described it perfectly when I was saying that I finished it and saying how it's one of the best games of the year. And he said it was Hacker Alias Mook 201. I think that game had the most smiles per minute of anything I played this year. And that's exactly it. Like it's just, I know that I spent most of the game with my mouth just like like just a big like anime smile on my face the whole time. You know what I mean? Like, because it's just every new world is just super charming and creative, and it's amazing what the VR adds to it.
Well, it's funny because I was posting on Twitter about how much I'm enjoying this game, and someone replied to me, with like, oh yeah, I've been hearing good things. Is it, is it, would it be good without the VR? It's like, is the VR making that game good, or is it a solid game kind of on its own right? And it very much is.
It is.
I mean, if you strip the VR away,
it wouldn't.
Could you strip the VR away though?
It wouldn't be as good. It would still be solid. And I think that's the reason why. I think that the reason why the VR is so effective is because the gameplay itself is so solid.
Right.
That you're not struggling with it. There's never a moment where it's like, oh, this is really hard to do from this perspective.
Yeah. I think the game to me compares very favorably to Ratchet and Clank, or one of the 3D Mario games. It has that sort of just like nice, solid 3D platforming feel that you get out of those two games or families of games.
Right. There was never a moment while I was playing that I was fighting with the controller.
No.
That he wasn't doing what I wanted him to do. Like,
right.
And super responsive, and just everything feels perfect. Yeah. Which again basically gets that out of the way completely and lets you enjoy the novelty of the VR. And the novelty of the VR is definitely a huge piece of it. I don't think the game would be as good. It would be technically sound, but it wouldn't be as good if you didn't play it in VR. Yeah. But I mean, they play with it, and that's the thing is that they're so they play with it in every level. Almost every level, it feels like they introduce something different.
Yeah,
it just like I said, makes you smile. Like the cave levels, I gotta say, like the cave, right? Like, has any platforming cave level ever felt as good as it does in this game?
Can I be, and again, I just got the VR, so I'm still kind of like in that honeymoon period with it.
And is this the first time you've used a VR system?
It's not. I did try out. I was down at Mudron's house, months ago, and one of his friends had brought over the PlayStation VR, so I had tried it then. At the time, I played the Star Wars Battlefront. They have that like VR mission, and I played Thumper.
Okay,
which the rhythm game, and the thing is about both of those games is they're both it's a lot of kind of staring at a black screen. Star Wars, there's ships and stuff flying around, but you're out in space. So you're looking around and you're seeing TIE fighters move around and stuff. Thumper, it's colors and stuff, but it's if I remember correctly, am I wrong about this? But it seems like you're kind of in a dark void, kind of watching stuff.
Yeah, you kind of right. And you're focusing on that thing. Thumper, the main thing that VR does for Thumper is it brings the little beetle thing that you're controlling literally right in front of your face.
Right. Yeah. So, first of all, so I was kind of used to like that. That was my first image of VR, where you are in kind of this sort of inky void, and stuff kind of flies past you or whatever. But, and Astrobot, well, and when I first got it, the first game I tried was Tetris Effect. Which certainly prescribes to that. You're in a dark void looking at something. It just happens the Tetris Effect, the thing you're looking at, is just stunningly beautiful.
Yeah.
But when I started Astrobot, it starts the same way because you're out in outer space, basically.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, I'm looking at planets. The little robot flies in front of me. I can look at the robot and stuff. And then you start that first level, though, and all of a sudden it sort of like forms around you, but it's like it's a regular 3D platformer. It's like green grass, white clouds, blue sky everywhere, platform, and it feels like you've been thrown into the center of a of a really pretty video game level.
Hmm.
And you're talking about the cave levels and stuff. World 2-1
Yep.
is the first cave. And first of all, the game has really good music.
I was about to say that.
Huh.
A fantastic soundtrack.
Yeah.
Like I want the soundtrack.
Yeah.
I'm sitting
And-
there humming along with it. I mean, they do start to repeat a lot by the end of the game.
Right.
They're still really good.
Yeah. And in particular, the music track for that World 2-1 is super kind of chill and bouncy.
Mm-hmm.
And again, maybe it's just the fact that I'm just kind of got used to, kind of getting my first real taste of VR. When I started that level and it starts you kind of in the cave and you can hear water rushing and you look behind you and there's a couple waterfalls and it's a low cave. So it looks like the ceiling is like right there on top of you and you see off in the distance and enemies are marching to the beat of the music and there's little bioluminescent mushrooms dotting the cave. I was just like, I'm going to sit here for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to sit here, lie on my couch and feel like I'm in a cave, listen to some bouncy music and just relax with the waterfall rushing behind me. This is nice. I'm going to spend like 5 minutes just chilling out. And I totally did.
Yeah.
So
you haven't hit it yet, but I mean, it's a platformer, so you're
Right.
going to get eventually to like the lava worlds.
of course, yeah.
And the water, I'm really interested to see what you feel about when you start getting to some of the water levels.
Oh, I did a water level.
Oh, was there one in World 2? I forgot.
There is one in World 2. And again, the virtual reality-ness of it freaked me out a little bit
Mm-hmm.
at the start.
Yeah.
Because you start on minor spoilers. You start off on land and you run over. And have you talked about this game on the show?
A
Like
little
last
bit
week?
last week, but mostly it was me saying I can't wait for you to come on this week so we
Okay.
can talk about it.
Did you
'Cause
talk
I knew
about
you'd love it.
Yeah. Did you talk about how you are
physically in the world? Yes.
Yeah, you are basically like you are a robot with kind of a hover skirt, and
Mhm.
you are the point of view. You are the camera, and you're hovering around behind Astrobot. But yeah, so you start off on the land and you walk over to this little platform that's it's like a little raft or something kind of floating on the water.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden these kind of tracks appear along the side and the platform starts kind of descending at a 45-degree angle. And again, it's all around you. So it feels like
You're dunking into a pool.
and again, maybe it's just me. My brain acclimates to VR super quick.
Huh.
Like I get lost in the surrounding immediately. The illusion really works for me. Like to the point where if I'm walking through a level like with a cave or something and there's a stalactite, I
Sure.
think, coming at me, like I was instinctively ducking. and
That's a
stuff.
good instinct to have. Hang on to that.
Okay. Okay. But yeah, when it comes down and you're going under the water and suddenly you go under the surface, there was a moment where I'm just like, oh crap, this is freaking me out. I'm being dunked into the ocean.
And again, you got that great 3D audio that goes with it. So of course everything's
Yep.
muffled now because you're underwater. And
Yeah.
in later levels, you'll get into situations where they're actually getting you in where it's crazy how perfect it feels, but it's almost like, when if you've ever been in a pool or in the ocean,
Yeah.
and you have like a face mask on and the water's like right at chin level.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then when you duck under and like there's actually puzzles that require that where
Oh really?
you're like you're basically up to your shoulders in water. You are as the
Right.
camera.
Right.
And like, I mean, you can still see Astrobot when he's underwater, but it's of course much easier when you dip your head in
Of course, yeah.
and can see him much clearer. And
Yeah.
it's just so good. It's
That's-
so good.
It's just the sense of scale in that game.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
there's
what
one-
VR is good for.
There's a level early on where like you kind of come to a dead end and then a giant beanstalk that looks to be about 100 feet tall just rises up in front of you. Or that the first boss, the giant gorilla, was just massive and surrounding you.
That's the other thing in general.
Yeah.
The bosses in this game.
Yeah.
And that was the main thing I was going to say is the sense of scale. I mean,
Yeah.
you're fighting truly giant bosses.
Yeah.
And it being in VR actually does. It's interesting because I don't think there's any boss fight in the game that requires you to spin to the left or right. They actually keep the fights, for the most part, generalized forward.
Right.
But I think it works because it lets you have some more traditional sort of boss, like platformer boss style patterns,
Right.
without being frustrating, but it still takes advantage of the fact that you're in VR. So you fought 2. They just get better and better. Every new boss fight is better. So
it's such a good game, and it's charming as hell.
Oh yeah.
The little Astrobot is,
and they have been forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Playroom stuff has been great.
Yeah, because those guys. See, this is the other thing. I didn't realize Astrobot originated in Playroom.
Yeah, the first PlayStation camera Playroom. You could.
Oh, was it real?
You could fill the room that you were. I have an old picture from when I got my PS4.
Yeah,
with me and my kids sitting on my living room floor, and we're surrounded by Astrobots.
Yeah, see, that completely blew past me that he's a character that's been around for apparently years now.
Yeah,
but super cute, super charming. I've picked up a couple secret achievements, just messing around with the game, just kind of just playing with Astrobot and playing with VR.
You've batted him around with the controller, I assume.
Yep.
You've batted around the little light balls that turn into the worlds.
Yep. Bouncing those off my controller.
Swim him into your face when you're underwater.
I've done that.
Okay.
That's
on purpose, but
I didn't either. That was an accident. I accidentally bumped into him as we're underwater, and he gets stuck to your goggles. But that was one of the secret achievements, I believe. Was ramming him underwater. And then the other spoiler, I guess, the other secret achievement I got is you get the add-on tools for your controller, like the little hook shot and the hose. I was just messing around with the hose, just spraying stuff all over the level, and then I was like, "Oh, I wonder if I could spray myself with it." And I flipped the controller. I aimed the little hose is aimed at my face, and I sprayed myself, and just water splatters all over your goggles.
Is that an achievement as well?
And you get an achievement for it.
Interesting. There's talking about how charming it is too. One more thing that I was noticing last night that I want to mention for some reason, but I don't know if you've been in a level yet, but there are some levels you get into where they look like sunflowers. They look like robotic sunflowers.
Yeah.
And they're generally rated eye level for you.
Right.
And one of the things that I noticed actually last night while I was playing that I really loved is that if you stare right at them, they're doing their sort of, they're multicolored and they're smiling and they're dancing to the music and everything like that. But if you look away, they stop and they actually sort of look down and they just sort of hang out. And then if you look back at them, they after a second, like an instant, will glance at you and realize you're looking, and they'll pop up again and they'll bloom, and like just little things like that are all over the place.
That's cute.
Yeah.
You know what I just noticed in our chat? Zelda's biggest fan wants to know if I experienced motion sickness. I have not. Luckily I do not get motion sickness very easily.
Yeah.
I don't. I know CJ gets it a lot with like first person shooters and things.
I do, and I get it with some VR games too.
Yeah. I've not gotten that with the VR yet. So,
but you've been playing the good games.
Well, true.
Yeah. You haven't played anything that that may make you vomit.
Like
try
what?
Getting on that.
What would make me vomit?
What was one of the ones you mentioned, Greg, when you first got the?
Oh God! On that
there were a couple.
There was a horror one on that first demo disc that was terrible for that. And I also found, and this broke my heart, I got motion sickness when I played Gran Turismo.
Oh no!
And, that was the whole reason I wanted the damn thing at first.
Right.
Oh,
so
that's a bummer.
But I'm over it.
Okay.
So yeah, no, that's great. I mean, I knew you were gonna love it, and just based on playing the first couple of levels, I knew you were gonna love it. And then last night, like I said, I couldn't put it down until I finished it, and it was just joyous, like the whole experience.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah,
awesome. Definitely. I mean, I'm 2 worlds into it. I'm about, I guess, 2/5 of the way through, but as a serious
contender.
Serious contender. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really that good. I mean, I hesitate to say buy PlayStation VR
I know.
for this game,
Yeah.
but jeez.
But
I
see
mean,
that bundle though.
that bundle, yeah. I mean,
My
it's
God, I mean,
nice.
you're getting a really good deal there, and you're really reducing the cost of the VR helmet itself that way.
That's
Yeah.
true. That's true.
So, but yeah, it's great. You play anything else?
No, that's it.
Oh, okay.
That was it. Okay, Phil.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm playing a lot of the VR stuff. But what else have I checked out? Astrobot's where I've spent most of my time. Spent a good chunk of time in Tetris Effect.
Mhm.
I actually finished Journey Mode.
Same here.
Yeah, I finished it. I was kind of glad that I held off and finished it in VR, just because it was really intense. Those last stages get going pretty quickly. The speed in them goes fast, and then the credit sequence was really nice to see in VR as well, just because of the light show aspect of it.
You know what? I missed that completely.
How come?
I finished Journey Mode, and then one of my kids needed something, and I had thinking, you know what? I'll suspend this.
Yeah.
And then come back to it. Came back to it, it had already played through anyway.
Oh no.
So
yeah. So I haven't actually seen the ending.
Oops.
Oh man. Well, you could probably add, they may have the credits as selectable in an option.
Maybe,
tree or
I haven't
something.
looked.
And I mean the final stage is not easy.
No, God, no.
You got to clear like 90 lines, I believe, and it couple parts where it gets going kind of super fast.
I wish I played it in VR, but at the same time, because I was playing it on the television, my kids were cheering me on.
Oh yeah,
so I must have tried that stage like 9 times.
Really?
I had so much trouble with it.
I mean,
I'm not. I've realized this game has made me realize that I'm not that great at Tetris.
I finished it the first time.
Yeah. See,
so I guess I'm better than you. I don't know, but
yeah.
What can I say?
You know what? I'll still sleep fine tonight. So.
Okay. Well, if that's what gets you going. But so I played that. Played a little bit of the Playroom stuff.
Did you try the multiplayer stuff?
The what stuff?
The multiplayer stuff?
I did not.
You should try that with Finn.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The one that my kids used to love was the one where you play as like a Godzilla style monster.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty much what the character you're playing at, or you are in Astrobot. It's kind of based on him.
Oh, okay.
So if you're in the VR helmet, your view is you're flying down this roadway, and there are buildings everywhere, and you headbutt them and try to hit the little Astrobots that are running in front of you. But for anybody who's playing with the controller and watching the television, they're seeing the scene from the opposite direction, and they're controlling the Astrobots, trying to avoid what you're doing.
Oh, that's cool.
Really check out there's a lot of good multiplayer stuff in there for like groups where one person's wearing the helmet and everyone else has got a controller.
Okay.
And I think you'll find that Finn will really like some of that stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
There's a demo disc that came with the bundle as well. That I popped in. The only game I tried on the demo disc was a game called Star Child. I believe Star Child is the name of it.
I don't know that.
It is it's like it seems to be, just from the brief demo that I played, kind of a Metroid style game.
Really?
You're
Star
on
Child. I've seen this. Yeah.
You're on a alien planet, and it kind of you're sort of sitting in the level. It's 2D. It's a 3D environment, obviously, but you're playing it on a 2-dimensional plane. But it's like, it's a Metroid game, but you are sort of sitting in the level watching the character run through it.
Okay.
Huh.
And just the brief demo I played, it was cool. It seems neat. The full game is like $40 on PSN. So I'm kind of like, I don't know if I want to drop $40 on it, because I should probably read some reviews, but
yeah.
It seemed cool. I liked the little bit I played. So, and Yeah, what else? Oh, I started. I turned on Moss for a little bit, because that obviously came with my bundle. I'm trying not to get too into it because I want to finish Astrobot first.
Yeah.
Because Moss also seems like something that I will end up kind of really getting into.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys play that one?
I've played it for about an hour or so, and
Okay.
kind of the same thing. I got it because one of our listeners gave me a code for Astrobot and for Moss at the same time.
Nice.
And I tried them both out.
Yeah.
Fell in love with Astrobot immediately. Played Moss and thought, same as you. It's like, I definitely want to keep playing this. This is really cool.
Right.
But I don't want to split my time between the two of them. I want to just focus on one.
And geez, boy, that Moss game is beautiful too.
It's pretty, and it's pretty in a different way.
Yeah, well, because Moss, I mean, like Astrobot, it really does feel like here is this beautiful 3D video game, and you are sitting in the center of it.
Yeah,
you are in a video game world. Moss feels like you are standing in front of a beautifully constructed diorama.
Yeah.
Huh. And you are watching a little, like, really, again, charming, a charming little mouse character.
Yeah.
His name is Quill, if I remember correctly.
So.
Yeah. You're watching this adorable little mouse.
Son of Sneakers.
That's, you know what?
Sneakers.
That's what they should have called this game if they wanted it to sell worth a damn. No, so I think Son of Sneakers.
Son of Sneakers.
Son of Sneakers. what a great way to minimize what seems to be a really fantastic game. Son of Sneakers. But yeah, it is, because it is like you're standing in front of this gorgeous diorama, watching a little show unfold in front of you.
Yeah, I mean the difference with that is that it uses the VR equivalent of flick scrolling. Basically, where you're in the area that you're in is static.
Yeah, it's like you're one screen.
Yeah. Like you're always moving through it.
Huh. Yeah. And it again kind of playing into that diorama type structure where, you're just boom, there's a diorama in front of you, and it may have like all these paths and twists and turns on the one screen you're seeing. And once you get through, then it cuts to a new diorama that you're looking at. It is really nice. But yeah, I want to finish Astrobot before I get into Moss, because otherwise I'm going to get sucked in between both of them and not finish either. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I also picked up CJ.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
A little game called Ed, and Eddie's virtual neighborhood, where you can choose to be either Ed, or Eddie.
I see.
And hang out in the cul-de-sac with all your favorite Ed, and Eddie friends.
Yeah.
Like, didn't really watch Ed, and Eddie. I don't know any of the characters' names. But
you just named them all.
I bought the Rick and Morty game.
Cool.
I bought your precious little Rick and Morty game.
Well, thank you. Thank you
for the PlayStation 4. I'll have you know I bought the deluxe collector's edition.
Oh, even better.
Which when I ordered it, just happened to be cheaper than the normal version.
Really? Oh, okay.
So I was like,
okay,
sure, I'll save $3 and have a Funko Pop
and a poster,
and a
don't forget that poster
and a double-sided poster.
Yeah,
one side of which homages The Last of Us.
It does indeed. Yeah.
So yeah, I played a little Rick and Morty as well.
Cool. What'd you think? What do you think of it?
So
wait, don't answer
what else have you guys been playing?
Oh my god.
No, it's actually pretty neat. I am enjoying Rick and Morty. It's an adventure game. It's very much an adventure game.
Absolutely,
it's like a graphic adventure game.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, where you are a clone of Morty.
Yep.
And the game starts off where you're in Rick's garage from the show, and there is Rick and Morty standing next to you, sort of just like, oh, you're a clone there. You're a clone Morty. Oh, geez, Rick, I don't know. This clone seems pretty sketchy. I don't know. Hey, Morty, I'm just trying to help this guy do your job. And what about me, guys? Don't I belong in this show? I'm just
Wait a second.
That's the Family Guy.
That's the Family Guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mixing and matching.
But yeah,
That
they're
boy ain't right.
wow, DJ. There you go.
That's what Rick says, right?
That's a solid. It's a solid. That's the guy from American Dad.
Yeah.
Right.
No. So yeah, you got Rick and Morty standing in front of you chatting, and it is really kind of unnerving
Yeah.
because they're the Rick and Morty style. And they're 3-dimensional, of course, but they're done up in sort of that sort of simplistic look of the Rick and Morty show.
Mhm.
And they're like Morty was like kind of like right in my face, and Rick's. I was sitting on my couch instead of standing. You're supposed to be standing during that game, clearly.
Yeah.
But I was sitting because I was lazy. So Rick looked to be about 8 feet tall, which is just it's a trick of me sitting down instead of standing.
You can recalibrate that so it's easier for sitting play. Just saying.
See, that's what I should have done. But yeah, it's just really weird. Just these kind of 3-dimensional cartoon characters standing like a foot away from you, chatting to you.
Yeah.
I was a little put off because they have those big bulgy eyes with the little squiggly pupils, and it's just like this is weird and uncomfortable in a very amusing way.
Yes.
But yeah, but it is very much, Greg, a graphic adventure game where you are kind of bouncing around to different parts in like Rick's garage, picking up items, interacting with them, figuring out how to use a couple items together, using his various inventions to travel to different locations. You get like the little portal generator to travel to different worlds and stuff like that. So
cool.
Yeah.
It's
I will have to try it.
It's a neat little game. I am enjoying it. So
Excellent.
yeah,
I'm glad that you are.
yeah. And that's about all I've played in the VR so far. I did pick up they came out with a Voltron.
Yeah, I haven't grabbed that
game. I haven't.
It's an experience, isn't it?
Yeah, it's one of those like it's the experience where it's
Yeah.
probably just kind of a short little, almost like a ride at an amusement park or something. But it's based off the new Voltron show that's on Netflix, which I really quite enjoy. So I was like, I'll drop $10 to spend 5 minutes pretending I'm flying around in the Blue Lion or something. So, but yeah, I'm digging it. I'm kind of sold on VR.
There's a lot of content there if you want to dig for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm enjoying it. I need to bust out my copy of Zone of the Enders 2.
Oh yeah, right.
Which has a VR mode in it, which I'm interested in checking out.
That sounds like a recipe for motion sickness. I'll be interested to hear what you have to say about that.
Yeah,
Probably Res also, right?
I do have Res. I need to bust out.
Res. Yeah.
Yep. Tekken 7, which I own, has a VR mode, but which I actually tried, and I love Tekken 7. Their VR mode is half-assed at best.
Fortunately, that happens.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm really digging it. So we'll see what else there is for me to experiment with that. Oh, you know what else I tried? Not a game, but Hulu.
I thought you were going to say VR porn.
No. Well, as you know, Pete Dodd cracked that joke at me over the Twitter, to which I replied to him that Tetris Effect is effectively my VR porn.
That's weird, man.
There you go.
You're weird.
What more do you need? You can put that on the box, Mark McDonald.
I don't think
you can put that quote.
That's a good one.
When they go make it, do a second printing or something, you can put that on the box. No, I tried Hulu has a VR mode. Just the streaming service. and it puts you in a little virtual environment. You know, you can be on the beach, you can be in a giant tastefully decorated house, you can be in the middle of a volcano. I don't know if that may not be accurate, but you can be in a couple places, and then you just have a giant like movie theater sized screen in front of you.
That's
and
cool.
It's like you're just chilling out in a house watching TV. So I sat and watched a few episodes of Teen Titans Go in VR.
That's some good watching.
Just because. And Greg, it was the Night Begins to Shine miniseries. Those were the episodes I watched. So quality episodes
Love
as
Teen
well.
Titans.
I know. But yeah, VR gets a thumbs up from Phil. I'm kind of glad I waited just because of the deal and because of the
Such a good deal.
updated headset. But I wish I had gotten into it sooner because of how cool it is. So
Cool. That's good. Well, I think that means we should do some tweets. Let's do this one from Acroelius Mathman1024, who says, "What moment or moments in video game history would you like to see made into a movie or series? I'm excited to see Console Wars by Blake J. Harris come to life." Yeah, we didn't mention that in news.
Oh, yeah.
Is announced that it's going to be a limited series.
Yes.
Oh,
That's
as
cool.
opposed to a
Like
movie.
a miniseries instead of a movie. Yeah.
Okay. When, where, when, how? When are we going to see this?
I don't know that they've set a date, but it's officially it's going. It's doing it.
Yeah.
Which is cool on a number of fronts. Mostly for me, that I'm going to see a dramatization of Summer CES 1991, and I was at that event. It's very weird to think about that. So, yeah, very odd.
I'm really
Funny.
afraid about that thing because I know I'm going to watch it through the lens of like how many things are wrong.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was more excited about the apparently they were going to create a documentary version of it too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When's
it's
that
still
happening?
I don't know, man, because apparently like all those interviews were recorded and
Yeah.
be nice.
Huh.
So, moment in video game history.
I would be interested in maybe like the early days of Nintendo.
Yeah,
Getting into the video
Nintendo of
game
America.
space.
You mean Console Wars as seen from the eyes of Nintendo?
No, more like Game Over.
Early. Oh,
Yeah.
more Game Over.
Like Game
yeah,
Over.
yeah.
Like kind of the history of it and the early days of just them like making Donkey Kong stuff like that. you
That
know?
would be awesome.
I would be totally into seeing a thorough dramatization of the Tetris story.
Oh, that would be cool too.
Yeah. Atari's heyday would be fun.
Yeah. Well, we kind of have that with the Once Upon Atari miniseries.
Kind of.
That's interviews, though. I mean,
Yeah.
That was interviews with people who were there after Atari was established.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Are we
I mean,
talking
you've
just
got
like
the creation
like
of
a
Atari.
drama series,
Yeah,
not
okay.
a
I think
documentary.
you could follow like Nolan Bushnell through like being like a carnival barker to creating Atari to sort of when he was ousted.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're talking like dramatizations.
Yes.
then,
Yeah.
And not Okay. Yeah. See, when I was thinking the early Nintendo stuff, I was thinking more documentary style.
Right.
Yeah.
But if we're talking like dramatization, you need to have something a little more, something happening. I would imagine.
Yeah.
You want to have.
I think what you said about Nintendo. I mean, if you go, have you ever read the book Game Over?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I mean, there's a
Game
lot
Over,
there.
yeah.
It would go over many years, but
that's true.
there's a
That
lot
is
there.
true.
Or there's an Xbox book that was done
the
as well,
Xbox.
like early. Oh yeah, that could be really interesting as a movie.
Basically, any system creation.
You know what?
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
might make a
PlayStation.
fun. Make a fun dramatization type miniseries or something. Could be the early days of id or ID.
Yes.
ID
Yeah.
Software.
Yes.
Just like making Wolfenstein and Doom and
Which
and-
again, if you want to get that story, Masters of Doom. It's just a fantastic book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that would make a fun mini series just because of all the characters, all the personalities there were all pretty big personalities.
Yeah.
So,
I think sort of the story of Sega from like the mid 90s on would be interesting to like maybe the mid 90s through to the death of the Dreamcast. Just, sort of take that height that they were at in like 93, 94 and just that dramatization of that whole thing from like Sony eating their lunch with the PlayStation and Saturn generation and then sort of the launch of the Dreamcast and then the ultimate death of it too. Would be kind of interesting.
Oh.
How about this for a series, the early days of Sendai Publishing.
Sure.
Sendai.
What famous child actor can we get to play CJ?
The guy who played Cameron in Ferris Bueller. Is he?
Alan Ruck.
I don't think he's a child actor anymore.
He's not a child actor.
No?
No.
I
Not
mean,
anymore.
Not
anymore.
He was like a teenager. Did you ever see Ferris Bueller? He's like a teenager in that movie.
Sure. He's aged a bit.
I don't understand how that. What do you mean?
I don't think pictures from the Nemo through to.
Oh, there you go.
All right. Let's do this one.
CJ's done with this question.
Yes.
Okotok's lawyer? Is that what that is? Maybe. Anyway, he says, my 12-year-old son has loved playing Spider-Man and Breath of the Wild and want to find other open world like games for him, but so many have adult themes I don't think are appropriate. Recommendations. I'm going to just spit out Lego City Undercover right there.
Lego City Undercover is a pretty fantastic game and definitely open world.
And it is available for all systems, and you can probably get it fairly cheaply now.
It was on the Switch version. I don't know if it's
still was on sale. Yeah,
for $8, I believe.
Yep.
So
it doesn't run the best on Switch, but it is available.
I think even if you're like not even looking for it on sale, you could probably pick it up for like $20.
Yeah, probably. And it's a fantastic game.
Okay. I'm gonna throw this one out there. Bully.
For a 12-year-old?
12-year-old? I think a 12-year-old could handle Bully.
Doesn't it have language?
Does it?
I think it does.
I'm pretty sure.
I mean, is it dropping F-bombs though?
I don't know that I would be. I mean, I have an 11.5-year-old. I'm not sure I'd be comfortable with her playing Bully quite yet.
Okay.
No.
I don't know.
We should go back and listen to our game club and we could decide if we
That's right.
Yeah.
Isn't
you know what?
Some of the Lego Batman games are open world though, right?
Bully is outstanding though. So
Bully's great.
Yeah. So even if you don't play it now, play it soon. Give it a couple years. Some of the other Lego like Lego Batman 2 was open world. I think 3 wasn't as much or not as well. The Marvel superhero games, I know for sure. Lego Marvel Superheroes and Marvel Superheroes 2, those are both open world.
Yeah.
I don't know because they just brought out that Lego DC Supervillains game.
I was going to ask if you'd played that.
I have not played that one.
I've heard good things.
Yeah, I'm sure it's good. I mean, I like the Lego games. Some are better than others. But I haven't played it yet. So eventually, when it goes, I mean, it's the Lego games. They go cheap so quickly. Any other good?
I think this is some good suggestions.
Yeah, I think that's
Hey, I'll tell you what. Go back and pick up a like PS2 and play Simpsons.
Road Rage.
Road Rage.
Yeah.
Hit and Run was the Crazy Taxi ripoff, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Road Rage was the like GTA clone. But Simpsons, that Simpsons open world game was a ton of fun. So
I've never played that game.
It was really good actually. I was like surprisingly good.
Okay.
So
All right, let's do one more. We'll finish off with
Getting
this
past
one.
our bedtime.
Yeah.
From Hacker Alias SMBCMR, who says, "How do you play your retro systems, FrameMeister? How do you combat games that have an internal battery? I don't like to emulate, but sometimes it's the only way. Licensed or expensive games that aren't released. Adding games to NES SNES Classic is a no-brainer."
I play through FrameMeister.
Yeah.
On
On original hardware?
original hardware.
Yeah.
Yep. I get around. By the way, we had Road Rage and Hit and Run backwards. Road Rage was the Crazy Taxi King.
Oh,
Hit and Run
okay.
was the open world one.
Okay. Like Simpsons hitting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The way I get around expensive games is I have a card reader for my Genesis and my Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
So, because I'm not paying the outrageous retro game prices now.
Right.
Yeah, but no, I play when I can. I try to play on original hardware and I run it through a FrameMeister.
Yeah. Most of my retro gaming these days is off of like the NES or SNES Classic or collections that are re-released. You know, like the SNK collection that just came out, or like
Gotta
the
get
Disney Afternoon collection, stuff like that.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, I'm not playing on original hardware for the most part.
Yeah. I did pick up what was it, a Retron 5? Is
Yeah.
that's the name of that
system. Yeah.
Yeah, I picked up a Retron 5 back when, like around the time when those came out.
I was crazy about that thing.
It's not good quality. Really.
It's I mean, it's not as good as a FrameMeister or whatever,
right.
but you know, for the price, I was like, yeah, this plays Genesis games fine for me.
There's the retro USB, I think it was AVS. Nintendo and Famicom stuff is fantastic.
Oh yeah,
and it's not super expensive. If that's what you're looking for, is Nintendo, like NES or Famicom.
Right.
And then there's what's the other company that makes they did a Super Famicom, Super Nintendo one recently. They're releasing a Genesis one soon.
Analog,
yeah. I think they're more expensive, but they're apparently really high quality.
Nice.
Yeah, indeed.
Cool.
Yeah, and when I have to hook up a retro system, I have a little like box that takes either RCA or S video and puts
that's just called a television.
And takes it to HDMI. So I like hooked up my original Xbox through that thing, and yeah, that's what I've done when I had to do that. And that's it.
All right.
Alrighty, and that is our show for this week. Thank you very much for listening. If you have a question for us or would like to comment on something you heard, you can direct that to @P1 Podcast on the Twitter, or you can go to our internet website at player1podcast.com. There you'll find Generation 16 episodes from Mr. Greg Seward.
The script for the new one is almost complete, and the footage has all been captured, so we are off and running.
Soon.
Well, let's not go crazy.
Let's call it soon. You'll also find show notes and links to the things that we talked about during this episode, and a link to our Discord server, which you can join and talk about games and other stuff and this episode with us and our other listeners.
If you'd like to subscribe to the Player One Podcast, you can do so by visiting player1podcast.com or by opening up Apple's iPod cast application tool listening device.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the podcast app for Apple. You can also head over to the App Store and spend $1.99
cheap
to pick up the Player One Podcast iPhone application, which gives you a one-touch communication with us via the emails, the Twitters, what have you. You also have all of our episodes ready to stream right to your listening device. And hey, Android cell phone, telephone users, the Player One Podcast iPhone application is available for your listening device as well for that same $1.99.
Also cheap.
That's over there at the Amazon Android Marketplace. You can like us on Facebook. We're on Stitcher. We're on Spotify. You can watch archives of our show or watch us live most weeks on the youtubes.com/P1 podcast. And if you've liked what you've heard, and how could you can head over to patreon.com/P1 podcast. Throw a few shekels our way. It keeps me in VR games because now I need them all.
There you go.
I need them all.
Gotta catch them
and
all.
And I need your Patreon funds will go toward a feeding tube for me and a catheter so that I can just live in VR,
All right.
which is my new goal. So please look forward to that.
I will.
Yes. Hey, and if you have a couple bucks left over, head over to generation-16.com to help support Greg Stewart's outstanding web series about North America's favorite runner-up, the Sega Genesis.
Thanks, Phil.
Thank you. Yeah, that's it. CJ,
Yeah. Huh?
thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Phil.
You're very welcome. Gregory,
Yo.
thank you as well.
Thank you, Philip.
Any more extra life stuff you need to plug?
No, I think I'm good. We'll be doing the draw for the PlayStation Classic giveaway to two lucky people.
Yeah.
Good. Best of luck, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess we'll
That's out
see.
this week.
We'll see everyone next week.
Alrighty.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.